good morning. How are you?
I'm well as can be expected. I just love, you said, could I have picked a worse time to write a book about saving democracy?
Oh,
I would argue it's the exact right time, but I love that you're just right about, you said, as early on, I tore up a lot of pages because everything I wrote seemed to go quickly out of date. I just picture you with like shredded paper, chicken feathers everywhere, just what the actual F. I mean, it's like you say, you say the speed, the scope, and the utter lawlessness caught people off guard. It's the velocity of all of this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. Don't you remember those early moments where for about 5 seconds we were all deers in the headlight? And then you just thought, how could this guy who was such a screw up in his first term have gotten so organized that he could do everything, everywhere all at once?
Yeah. I mean, like you say, it is almost, we're on a daily show. Just what happens hourly. It's hard to keep
It's crazy.
up. It's hard to keep
Yeah,
up
that's
with.
so true.
Can we start with what Stephen Miller just said this weekend? You heard that.
I did hear that.
All ICE troops have immunity, like the president, legally. Would you care to offer some thoughts on that?
So, I always feel like when Stephen Miller does this stuff, he needs to issue a disclaimer that he's not a lawyer because he gets the law wrong with such regularity. There is a qualified immunity for federal law enforcement officers who are acting within the line and scope of their duties. That is not the same thing as an absolute immunity. And, one of the issues that I had to deal with as a United States attorney was occasionally law enforcement officers would get sued. And there would be times when we would assert immunity because they had been performing their duties and they were protected by federal law. And then there's stuff that goes well beyond that, like so much of what we're beginning to see on video. These officers, these federal agents, fully trained federal agents, badge and gun, and they treat people with such utter hostility and disrespect, and they are outside the scope of their employment in many cases when they do that.
So, Joyce, I don't even know what headline to start. You obviously, the other thing we heard this weekend, this was an actual exchange on Air Force One, asked if he would rule out running for a third term, maintaining he'd love to do it, while touting the 8 wars he claimed to have ended. He said, I haven't really thought about it. We have some very good people. I have the best poll numbers ever. I've solved 8 wars, 9 is coming. None of that is true. Okay, I saved the lives of millions of people. Also not true. But we're so far in delusion land. But obviously Steve Bannon is putting that out there. He will be president in 28. We'll let you know how that's going to happen.
Let's be unambiguous about the law here. The 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits Donald Trump from seeking or serving a third term in office. Full stop, end of the story. But because we know how Donald Trump operates, I think this is a moment where we all need to pay attention, and the pushback against this ridiculous suggestion needs to be immediate, sustained, and strong, because Donald Trump is doing what he so often does. He's floating this as a test balloon. He's seeing if he can socialize the idea and get some traction, or at least avoid opposition. And so, look, this is a moment for traditional media to step up, to get every Republican senator and representative on record. It's not like they have anything else that they're doing these days, so they have time to answer a question or two from the press. They need to all be forced to go on record as saying that this would violate the 22nd Amendment and that they would oppose it.
I mean, we keep saying, though, Joyce, every time someone says he can't do that, he does. I mean, the East Wing of the White House is gone. It's not like he follows any laws. I mean, I think what they're trying to argue is that not consecutive terms makes it okay. Would this Supreme Court rule that for him?
Yeah, so look, I've stopped trying to crystal ball this Supreme Court, although I suspect that even for them, this is a bridge too far. This is plain textual language with strong congressional legislative history to back up the reason that they did this and their intent. And the fact that the terms aren't consecutive is just, to quote one of my favorite people, that would be malarkey. I saw, Bannon floating an argument that seemed to suggest that only the original qualifications in the Constitution counted and that the amendments to the Constitution were irrelevant, which explains a lot of this crowd's views on issues of race, for instance. But again, if the Supreme Court were to go along with this, they would be so far gone, so far down the road that there would no longer be any pretense that we were a democracy with three branches of government.
Well, speaking of so far down the wherever.
Yeah.
Trump said, just in, documents show conclusively Christopher Wray, arranged Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, and other crooked lowlifes in the failed Biden administration signed off on Operation Arctic Frost. They spied on senators, congressmen, and women, even taped their calls. They cheated and rigged the 2020 election. These radical left lunatics should be prosecuted for they're illegal, highly unethical. Okay, as many people have pointed out, Joyce, in 2020, Trump was president. Biden hadn't touched the White House in 4 years. Christopher Wray was appointed by Trump. Jack Smith didn't become special counsel for the DOJ in 2022. Merrick Garland didn't become AG until 2021. Lisa Monaco didn't become deputy AG until 2021. But beside from all those facts, Joyce, I mean, I don't even know how you even, talk about legal theory. Something that's just delusional. He was president when all this happened. They weren't in charge.
Facts can be difficult and inconvenient things. And so it's amazing how this president just continues to blow through them. And no one in his own party is willing to call him on it. And I think we should focus, by the way, on his own party, because they are the ones who are responsible for creating a check. Democrats, when they say things, Donald Trump is able to push that aside as political opposition. But people in Donald Trump's party who believe in democracy, this is a moment for them to develop a spine and stand up. And so when he says these sorts of things, which are dangerous and counterfactual, the check needs to come from inside of his own house. We've seen Donald Trump involved in just so many outright scandals in the last week, coming from the destruction of the White House on down the road. And he's completely unchecked by his own party, which appears to be absolutely terrified of him. And if they are in fact that terrified, this would be a good moment to try to call him on it and put a stop to it while they still can.
Yeah, Joyce, it's... I don't know where to start with. So we just played Letitia James' audio from Friday, pleaded not guilty, obviously, to bank charges. They're still talking about our Senator Schiff. I mean, first of all, it strikes me as not even the stuff that he claims they did illegally in terms of prosecuting him or Ukraine or whatever. It's just some BS something, non-existent mortgage charge he's trying to get them on. And
yeah, I mean, can I make sort of a quaint point here and just say that the Justice Department's guiding principle is that we investigate and charge crimes. We don't investigate and charge people. But that's how Donald Trump's Justice Department operates. He sends his attorney general a hit list of people he wants to take revenge on, and then it's her job to find whatever crimes she can against those people. And what we've seen with both Jim Comey and Letitia James, and it'll be true of Adam Schiff if and when they indict him, these are not crimes that were committed. I mean, I think something that's been a little bit lost in the news is that it's not just that these were weak cases. That's not the only reason federal prosecutors are leaving their jobs rather than have to bring them. It's because no crime was committed. Yeah. And yet these people are being charged nonetheless. It's utterly appalling.
Yeah, I said that in the first term. Remember, I'm like, are we even going to need crimes or evidence in the next term? Apparently not. I mean,
I remember you saying that. I think you said that when I was on the air with
probably.
you.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things you mentioned Congress, I don't think the founders thought about that Congress would just completely cede their authority. When he says I'm the speaker too, and I'm the chief law enforcement officer, they all just go, okay. I mean, yeah.
That's the risk with both of the other branches of government, aside from the White House. Both the courts and Congress are in danger of making themselves irrelevant by ceding all of their power to the executive. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I wrote my book, to make that case that we shouldn't have to make, because we all studied it in 4th grade and 10th grade and whenever y'all had civics. But this notion that the Founding Fathers created a system with 3 branches of government so that no one branch could be too powerful, because here's the shock, right? The Founding Fathers created this form of government in response to the rule of a king.
A king.
And they did not like the rule of a king. And in this context, the word king, I think, is just a nicer, prettier word for a dictator.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you both, Yahweh and Yesh, because I wrote a book, and it's about you guys. but it's really about some of your fans, the mean ones, the racist ones, the homophobe ones, the ones who don't like women. You guys come off really well in the book. Jesus, you come off really good in this book.
Yeah, I've heard that when people
Yeah.
talk about the Bible, they tell me that God, you come off really well.
Said no one ever.
Jesus comes off really well. Yeah, no, God, you're very impressive, God. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but you there's some moments, Almighty, where you're kind of the alcoholic step God. You know, if you know what I'm saying. But Jesus, he's chill throughout. Like he's proof of evolution.
But John, people have been twisting my message, right? And that's what this book is about.
It really is, Jesus. I mean, I've gone through this book of yours many times. You never said anything against the gays. You never said anything against women having to be forced to be pregnant. I mean, you're not against abortion. You're against the death penalty, Jesus. I know that. You're like your dad in that you tell us to welcome the stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the right people are twisting my message left and right, and we can't take it anymore. So we're so excited to have this book, a really rock solid resource to show people what the Bible actually says. And that's why we love you, John. You're spreading our true good word.
Simon & Schuster's Avid Reader Press presents Separation of Church and Hate, the bold, hilarious new book from John Fugelsang.